Caitlin Clark's stalker has officially been sentenced to 2.5 years in federal prison, bringing a dramatic end to one of the most disturbing chapters in recent WNBA history. This wasn't just a fan who crossed the line, it was a calculated, months-long obsession that forced law enforcement, the Indiana Fever, and even the league itself to respond with urgency. From following her across state lines to showing up at team hotels, the threat was real. And now, justice has finally been served. But the courtroom verdict is only part of the story. In this video, we break down the chilling details of the case, the emotional impact on Clark, and what this sentencing reveals about the growing danger female athletes face in the public eye. Let's rewind, because this didn't happen overnight. The man now convicted of stalking Caitlin Clark had been obsessed with her for months, possibly even before she entered the WNBA. This wasn't just a fan who crossed a line. This was something far more disturbing. He didn't just comment on her social media or shout from the sidelines. He followed her across state lines. He showed up again and again at team hotels, sometimes waiting for hours just to catch a glimpse of her. According to law enforcement, there were multiple incidents where he tried to breach restricted areas, including team floors and private spaces meant only for players and staff. In one particularly alarming case, he reportedly gained access to the same hotel level where the Indiana Fever were staying, setting off serious security concerns within the organization. While the world watched Caitlin dominate the court, breaking records, hitting logo threes and reigniting national interest in women's basketball, she was quietly living in fear. Fear that this man, who had already ignored every boundary, might take things further. Fear that the fame she had earned, the platform she had built, was now putting her in real danger. And yet, she never let it show. She kept playing. She kept smiling. But behind the scenes, this was a crisis, one that most fans never knew was unfolding. The Indiana Fever knew this wasn't just some random incident. They knew it was serious. By mid-season, the organization had already begun quietly adjusting its travel and security protocols. Team buses started departing at odd hours. Hotels were booked under aliases. Staff members were instructed to limit public disclosures of their locations. Coaches and security personnel reportedly began reviewing routes and exits before every road trip. Even the WNBA league office was looped in, alerted to the ongoing threat against its biggest star. But through all of this, the public remained largely unaware. Because Caitlin Clark, ever composed, ever professional, kept showing up. She kept lacing up her shoes, taking questions at pressers, and posing for fans like nothing was wrong. But behind those flashing lights, there was tension. Real tension. The kind that follows you home. The kind that lingers even after the final buzzer. Because when the game ends and the cameras shut off, Caitlin Clark didn't get to clock out. Every walk to the team bus, every hotel lobby, every late-night arrival in a new city came with one haunting thought. Is he out there again? Watching, waiting, planning? That's the part no box score can capture. The silent weight of fear carried by a player trying to act normal in a world that had suddenly become anything but. It all came to a head when federal authorities could no longer ignore the escalating danger. The FBI, along with local law enforcement, launched a joint investigation, one that peeled back months of disturbing behavior and built a federal case brick by brick. And the evidence? It was overwhelming. Hours of surveillance footage tracked the stalker's presence at team hotels. Hotel staff gave sworn testimonies. Flight records, security logs, even intercepted messages suggested a dangerous fixation that had crossed from fantasy into reality. This wasn't some internet troll with poor boundaries. This was criminal obsession, documented and undeniable. In court, the prosecution laid it all bare, painting a chilling portrait of a man who would not stop, who ignored restraining orders, traveled across states, and systematically inserted himself into Caitlin Clark's life. The judge didn't hold back. In a courtroom packed with reporters and under the glare of national attention, a clear and sobering sentence was delivered. 30 months in federal prison, no early release, no probation, just cold, steel bars, and a verdict that sent a message far beyond the Indiana Fever locker room. A message that echoed across the entire sports world. You don't get to stalk, harass, and terrorize women and walk away free. Caitlin Clark hasn't made a public statement about the sentencing, and honestly, maybe she never will. That's been her pattern from the beginning. She doesn't chase drama. She doesn't weaponize headlines. She keeps her focus on the hardwood, on the plays, the practices, the pressure of carrying an entire league's visibility on her shoulders. She's built a brand around poise and professionalism, even when the world around her spirals into chaos. But just because she hasn't spoken publicly doesn't mean she hasn't felt this deeply. According to sources close to the Indiana fever, the emotions behind closed doors were raw. There was relief, yes, but also something heavier, quiet tears. The kind that only come when you've been holding your breath for far too long. The kind that come when the nightmare finally has a name, a sentence, and a jail cell attached to it. One insider said it best. She just wants to play in peace. And that line, that one sentence, carries more weight than most people realize. Because peace isn't a luxury for athletes like Caitlin Clark. It's a fight, a daily fight. The kind of peace male athletes are simply given. The kind of peace that comes built in with big contracts, private planes, and elite-level protection. The kind of peace that allows you to walk through an airport without scanning faces. That lets you eat in a hotel lobby without wondering if someone's following you. That allows you to lose yourself in a film session or a fourth-quarter comeback without wondering if there's a threat waiting outside the arena. Caitlin hasn't had that. Not really. Not since the world realized who she was, and more importantly, what she could do. For most athletes, greatness is about stats, records, wins. But for Caitlin Clark, greatness has come with a darker shadow, one that no player should have to carry. Because when you become the face of the game, when you sell out buildings and move merchandise and draw millions of eyes, you also become a target. And in women's sports, where protections are often outdated or underfunded, that target can feel painfully exposed. So no, she didn't give a quote to the media. She didn't make a viral statement. But the message is loud and clear. This moment, this sentencing, it wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about headlines. It was about reclaiming something that should have never been taken from her in the first place. Her peace, her safety, her right to just be an athlete, not a survivor. And today, after months of fear, whispers, and legal battles, Caitlin Clark finally got a piece of that peace back. It's not everything, but it's a start. But this case forces us to confront a much deeper, far more uncomfortable question. If Caitlin Clark, arguably the most protected, visible, and marketable figure in all of women's sports, can still be stalked this closely with all her security, her media attention, and her institutional support, then what hope do others have? What about the college players with no name recognition, the overseas pros, the rookies grinding in silence without endorsement deals or personal security? How many of them are living with the same fear Caitlin faced, but without the legal resources or public awareness to stop it? The truth is, we'll never know, because most of these women suffer in silence until it's too late. That's the real alarm bell this sentencing rings. It's not just about one man going to prison. It's about how exposed these athletes truly are. The WNBA now stands at a pivotal moment. This league has grown fast. Bigger ratings, bigger crowds, bigger storylines. But with that growth comes greater risk. Security is no longer optional. It has to become a priority, baked into the structure, the culture, and the budget. Because if we're going to keep celebrating these women, investing in them, building around them, then we have to protect them too. And the question we all need to ask is this: are we really ready to protect the stars we claim to celebrate? Or do we wait for the next close call and hope it's not worse? Caitlin Clark deserves to be more than just a headline. She deserves safety. She deserves peace. And after today's sentencing, she's one step closer to it. But let this moment be more than a sigh of relief. Let it be a warning, a wake-up call, a turning point in how we protect the women who carry this league on their backs. Because no athlete, no woman, should ever have to sacrifice her personal safety just to pursue greatness. This isn't just a story about one stalker being locked away. It's a story about a system finally saying, enough is enough. So if you believe our athletes deserve better, share this video. Leave a comment below. Should the WNBA invest more in player protection? And if you're tired of the silence behind the smiles, the unspoken fears behind the fame, hit that subscribe button. Because here, we don't just follow the headlines, we break down the truth behind them. This is Narrative Analysts, and we'll be watching what happens next.